Hello, everyone. Today I'm here with my student, Christina Vo, and she's going to be talking about her passion project idea, how she decided to create this passion project, and all of that. So I'm really excited to share Christina and her passion project. So Christina, give us a quick intro. Where are you from? What grade are you in? And what were you struggling with before you started your passion project? Because I know you're such a motivated student that you had like so many different ideas. So just give us a quick introduction.
Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Christina Vo. I'm a junior that goes to Silver Creek High School in San Jose, California. So if you're in the area, please hit me up. I would love to collaborate with you. And a really struggle that I would had before the passion project was that I was doing so much stuff. Like I was like participating in a lot of clubs and extracurriculars, right? And I didn't barely had time for myself at all. So with Julie, I really got to hone in on my passions, right? And with those passions, really create like an action plan, right? What can I do to really go that further step, go beyond and above, and really make that passion project happen?
So I know you were involved in like so many different activities, and like so. And when you told me those activities, I was like, there's such a common theme, right? So
Yeah.
what were you like involved in before? Like I know you were like doing a lot.
Yes, I was. Okay. So
Nothing to be, yeah, that's great that you're doing a lot, but we always want to be able to, allocate our energy and time to what's really going to make a difference in the application process, right? Yeah. So what were you doing? I know you're doing so many things.
yeah, okay. So I I did a lot. Like my mind blanks sometimes. But I think most importantly, the one that we kind of honed in on was I was working with this nonprofit called Rotary Vietnam Project. And what Rotary Vietnam Project is basically a project that helps provide scholarships to youth at risk in Vietnam, in case of to prevent human trafficking from happening beforehand. And the common thing was very social justice. Like I
Right.
knew since a young age that I really wanted to help people, uh, like in any way. And I found that like I really wanted to people to know about these atrocities and take action against this, right? So using RVP, that nonprofit, and like taking a further action and creating a independent project of myself, I started. What was I? I lost my.
You started your passion project?
Yes, I started my passion project, and to explain more about my passion project is the
Yeah, let's
whole.
do that. Let's go ahead and introduce your passion
Yeah.
project name, what the mission is, and all of that.
Yeah, so the whole mission was to really spread awareness about this injustice, make people engage, make people want to take action, make people care about that this is happening, that I want to do something with this, right? And the most important way I think is through stories, through engaging people with people's stories and experiences, and most importantly, through this project, I really wanted to interview a survivor of human trafficking, right? Really get their story out there, make people engage, make people really care, and through that, I actually created a website, a platform where people can learn more about social justice, learn more about me, myself, and why I'm passionate about being an activist in my community, and especially
Mhm.
about fighting anti-human trafficking. And I believe that I'm still looking and networking to find an interview with a survivor, but once that happens, I'm going to be creating like kind of like a documentary video, right? And then getting that out there to the world.
That's amazing. I can't believe you're a high school student. Yeah. Right? Like, this is what I'm talking about. Like, when you're talking about your idea, you're so passionate, you know? And no, it's not, it's really that's like the passion that, colleges are looking for in a student instead of I'm doing all of these bunch of things and, let me just impress you with my numbers, but you are really passionate about what you're doing and putting out there. So tell us a little bit about your website. What's in there? How did you start this process? Tell us about that because I think a lot of students struggle with, oh, I created a website and now what? Or like how do I even start one, right? So they have a lot of different questions because students are in different stages. So yeah, tell us about your website creation process.
Mhm. So in the beginning, when Julia kind of like introduced the idea of creating a website, I was like, wait, I can create a website? Like, things is where like me as a like young person can do that, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like you really pushed me outside of my comfort zone. So when I was making this, I think the whole like theme of it was social justice, and I love poetry and like spoken word. So to be able to like be flexible with that and like utilize that, right, and engage people with that. So on my website, I talk about a lot about my project, Vietnam Passion Project, and like why I'm passionate. And I have interviews. So I have one interview on the website currently of a Pacific Links organization staff member talking about like the importance of fighting against human trafficking and what they do. But on the other side, I get to talk about like my own experiences and
Yeah.
being like, for example, I get to talk about in poetry piece about my mom and how she's an immigrant and how it kind of affected me as a first generation low income student, right? And to talk about like a lot of things that a lot of high school teenagers, especially as juniors, like the stress and mental health that we're all like having, like, and how do you deal with that, right? So to be able to use my platform in like many different ways, all with the theme of like helping people.
Oh, I love that. Yeah. And I mean, if you don't have this platform and this website and this passion project, like, how are you going to share that with the college mission officers? You know, because it's
Mhm.
like, I feel like the essays are very limiting, and it doesn't do its justice when it comes to really sharing the students' personal background about your mom, about the immigrant life. And I think we both relate because I'm
Mhm.
also an immigrant, and like I always wanted to share those stories to the college mission officers, which is so important, you know. That's great. Awesome.
I also want to add, it's like a lot of people can talk the talk, but can you really walk the walk? And I feel
Oh,
like,
I love that.
right? And I feel like you can talk about all your wars, you can talk about all your stats, but I think it honestly comes down to be like, who are you? I feel like you really asked me that, right? And I think I kind of struggled with that at the beginning. I was like, who am I? Like, what are my values, right? Because I was like, nobody ever asked me that. I feel like we're also in this like toxic mentality of being like, I have to get like a 1600, like I have to get all A's. But it's honestly like, who are you as a person? Like, what pushes you? What drives you? What makes you passionate, right? How are you going to change the world? Whether it's to be a mom or whether it's like to be like a CEO or a company, right? Whether big or small. And I feel like through this project, I'm putting actions behind those words. And
Oh,
yeah, through this project, I'm telling a story myself. I'm not bragging about my awards. I'm telling that I worked on this, right? And it's not an easy project. Like, I remember in the beginning, I'm like, Julie, like, I don't know, we should take this route, right? Because I didn't have the networks and connections at all. So I had to start it at the bottom, right? And like make my way to the top. And Julie was like, this this is exactly what college missions want to see. They want to see growth. They want to see consistency. They want to see that even if you reach like an obstacle or a hurdle, that you still keep going
oh
because
yeah.
you're so passionate and you're so intentful about achieving this project and continuing with it and being more active.
I'm gonna cry.
No.
No, but it's like 1,000% agree with you. And then one of the things that you shared earlier, which was, um, are you taking action based on what you're telling me is true about yourself? You know, like so many people, when they write their college essays or when they interview, they can say, oh, I'm passionate about this or I'm interested in this, but what did you do? Like, what did you do? Right. And the second point to add on to what you said was, a lot of people think that it has to be like a perfect project, like, oh, I need to like go on like, I don't know, like TEDx, or I mean, those are great things, but people think that it has to be like this grand, you know, everyone's watching me kind of a passion project. But colleges know that you're high school students, right? So you know how all the struggles that you're sharing with me right now, Christina, like the doubts that you had, the website creation process. I know we edited your website many times so that it's good. Like everything, right? Like getting interviews. And remember the Pacific Link said, oh no, we're not going to be able to. So we have to think of new ways to make that. You know, there's so many like journeys and difficulties and obstacles, but what are you doing? You're overcoming them. And that is growth on a personal level, right? And for colleges as well, for the college admission process, you know? So yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So in terms of your passion project, I guess what do you feel like you've gained the most through this process? I know you've been working on it for over like 7 months, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. So what do you feel like you've gained along the way, and how do you feel about the college admission process now that you have, something that only you are known for, right?
Mhm.
How do you feel with this whole passion project behind you?
I think I feel more determined, more ambitious as ever. I think I gained a lot of self-esteem. I think Julie knows because in the beginning I had such low self-esteem in myself. I just, I kept having those doubts of like, can I actually do this? Right? Because I think it's like you think that you have to wait as an adult to do this, right? To, but right now, you can be the living proof that you can push for the changes that you wish to see in this world. And I think that's so important, right? And I feel like what I learned was not only did I learn more like, professional skills like, oh, how to promote this, how to advertise this to people, right? But more of like personal growth, right? That I can do this, right? That I have the ability to do this, right? And I think with the college admissions, although it's scary and I'm still nervous, right? I
Uh-huh.
think it's like I think I'm more passionate to be telling about my story, right? And through this project more than ever.
And you already have a story. Like, Christina, when you start on your essay process this year, you're not gonna be wondering, like, what the heck am I gonna write about in my essays? You already have a story that we can see in your website, your About Me section. That's a perfect college essay that you can repurpose. You already have like a lot of evidences and tangible things that you can share with them. So I think just being a little bit more reflective of who you are in this process is like another benefit, of course, right? In addition to staying competitive in this process as well.
Mhm. And what I can say is that I love this group so much because I think it's like, we get into this mentality that we have to compete with one another, right? I believe through this group that like I love how everybody's like, oh, I'm willing to help you like edit your essay, and they post stuff about like, oh, here's some resources for SAT and everything. I just love as a group that we're so collaborative, right?
Yeah.
That we're going to uplift one another instead of, getting back in the mentality being like, oh, I'm gonna beat you in like stats or like, oh, I wanna get into college, I'm gonna bring you down or something. It's all about, uplifting one another and being like a safe, inclusive community. So I just like love that.
Yeah, that's so important. Like, I remember when I was in high school, which was a long time ago, but I didn't tell my friends about a lot of things about colleges because there was this like competitive like
Yeah.
air to our conversation. So it's like if you get into Yale, you're not going to get into Yale. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
Yeah.
if he took the Ivy League spot, so so I think that competition drives us nuts, and we end up feeling very lonely about this process.
Mhm.
And that is reason why people like search for like college consultants and things like that. But I think for me, it's always about how can we create a community and a place where people are inspired and motivated and supported, and you're using your passion project to stand out. So I think it's just so amazing to have, and everyone in this group, like people are going to watch this. Everyone is amazing here, so that's great. Yeah, it's a lonely process for
Mhm.
sure. Yeah, that's great. So do you still like talk about your passion project and things like that with your friends, or you just keep it kind of to yourself?
I definitely mentioned to my friends, and I feel like I utilize like all like your learning resources and kind of be like, hey, like to my friends, like you should create a passion project, right? Like I feel like through the skills I learn, I try my best to teach them to other youth around me, right? And
Yeah,
I think it's really important. Like when
yeah,
you have these resources, you kind of have the privilege, right, of teaching it to other people who are kind of like underserved or like don't have that necessary resources.
yeah.
Right. So, yeah, that's what I try to do the best I can.
Oh, you're so supportive. That's great.
Thank you. It's all because of you. It's all because of you.
Yeah. That's great. I wanted to talk a little bit about why you decided to work with or be in my program.
Okay. So, funny story. So I found Julie through a YouTube video, right?
Oh, you
And
did? I didn't even know that.
I told you. Okay,
Okay,
so
okay.
it was
Yeah.
this college YouTuber, like,
Oh,
yeah,
May.
yeah, May. Wait,
Uh-huh.
no, it was Beth, not May.
Oh, Beth Young. Yeah,
Yeah.
Beth is
She-
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's an
Beth
Harvard.
was Harvard, and then they were doing like an interview with one another, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm gonna check out her website. And so I did. And then you get to schedule like a free session to talk to
Yeah,
you, right? And the vibe that I got through, like Julie straight up told me, like, do you want somebody who pushes you? And I was like, right? Because like all my okay, my parents, like I'm first generation, so they didn't go to college at all. So it was kind of hard to find like somebody who really knew the process, right? And also like representation, like Julie, like your family immigrated here, so you know
yeah,
how it feels being like low income and first generation. So
yeah,
seeing her and seeing like a similar story and similar experience with her, right? And also that like through this process, I feel like you really push me outside my comfort zone, right? And like you push me to my full potential. And honestly, that's why I continue working with you because you empower me so much. Like your stories, like your background, especially, and the work that you're doing right now, helping students and helping me, especially, right? Empowers me and motivates me always. Like I remember sometimes like I'll get on call and I'll be like, I'm just so like burnt out. Yeah,
yeah.
you're always so positive and optimistic. You're like, let's turn the bad into something positive. Let's keep being positive, right? And that's something that I admire so much because you're always gonna push everybody around you. Like it's for good things, for their fullest potential. And
Right, 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 right.
yeah, and that's why I love working with you. And honestly, being a low income student, the price was kind of hefty, right? But I think this is an investment worth taking for sure. And that's why I still continue to do it.
Oh. um, yeah, I think I really love pushing my students, not in a way that's like, hey, like if you don't do this, you're a loser, or like, hey, if you don't do this, you're not good enough. But it's like when I see students, and like for you example, I see potential, right? But then the students don't see it themselves. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh my gosh, this kid could do so much, you know? This kid could do this passion project and use that to really highlight what this person's. So I think pushing is it's really good for the high school student, especially because I think when parents push, it's like, oh, mom, like stop, you know. But if there's like a coach pushing you, it's a totally different story. And obviously, it's in a way that's very supportive, you know. And I always talk about like how you do need to be happy and you do need to, you know, have this really healthy mindset. Otherwise, like, why the heck are we doing all of this? If you're like anxious and depressed and not feeling good enough, why are you continuously pushing for Ivy Leagues, you know? So it's about turning it back to who am I? What am I passionate about? And how can I share with the colleges? So that's very good. Awesome. That sounds really good. Is there anything else you want to share in terms of your passion project? Because I think, I mean, as I mentioned before, even we got on this call, I was like, your passion project is so impactful. And Christina, you're going to look back like 5 years later at this project and be like, wow, this is what started my movement and my purpose, you know? So is there anything else you want to like brag about your passion project or share with the people? Or you can also ask people if they want to work for you, like getting team members, all of that, you know, do some promotion here to really, you know, put your passion project out there.
Yeah, there's also other projects that like I was working on. I remember talking to you about starting like a YouTube channel because
Right.
yeah, initially we wanted to I guess like create something out of my poetry and spoken word pieces, and I thought
Mhm.
the best way was through like videos, through like
Oh,
yeah, do cinematography, photography, right? So I want to start like a YouTube channel and like make videos about like poetry and spoken word pieces. I also wanted to I'm starting like a podcast, right? It's basically to inspire to discuss, empower Generation Z about struggles as a teenager and like social issues, and kind of serve as like a safe and inclusive platform that we're not alone, right? That we have one each other, that have similar experiences, and that we can all support and uplift one another, right? And also, I'm also another side project is I'm currently pitching to magazines about the necessity of having menstrual product dispensers, right? So at my
oh
school,
yeah, I remember you talking about that.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
at my school, we're like a low income school, and we only have one menstrual product dispenser that is barely stocked at all. So we're really pushing the school district to be like, you need as a low income school, you need to be filling every girls and gender neutral bathrooms with these menstrual product dispensers, right? Because honestly, menstrual products are very expensive, especially if you're a
Yeah.
student, right? So reaching out to news media outlets in like my city to really spread awareness about that and push for that for sure. And I also want to say to anybody who like want to ask me questions or like needs help or needs support, please reach out to me. I would love to talk to each and every one of you guys. And yeah, I would love to collaborate on your passion projects or help you out in any way.
Awesome. You're inside this Facebook group, right, Christina?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Yay. So many projects going on, but it all aligns with your passion and creating justice and just working towards that. So that's awesome. So proud of you.
Thank you. I honestly love this group and like I love all the work that you're doing. So thank you so much. I think we honestly kind of all owe it up to you for creating this platform and allowing us to connect with one another.
That's amazing. Yay. All right. So, Christina, thank you so much for taking your Saturday. I know you are a busy, busy junior. I'm sure a student or a parent watching this is probably so inspired by what you shared and what you are doing right now. So, again, that way you've made an impact as well. And sounds good. Let's stay connected with Christina inside this Facebook group. And feel free to attach your website and links like that to this video so people can also check out your website. Okay, thank you so much, Christina. Bye, everyone watching.